Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Last Wrestling Podcast, because if I have a wrestling podcast, I have to get around to this eventually. Okay, I know I'm several days late at this point, but the same day of Wrestle Kingdom Night 2, I had some personal issues that I had to deal with pretty much immediately as soon as I got back from the show, and that took a couple of days, followed by doom scrolling a day and a half worth of a treasonistic terrorist attack on my home country by the rejected cast of Tiger King Season 2. Let's talk about some wrestling! Alright, Night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom 15 in Tokyo Dome. Go to New Japan. I'm not letting them forget that. Actually, this was amazing for me, because this was the best seats I've ever had at a New Japan show, or really except for a 2AW show that I went to, best seats I've had at any wrestling show I've ever seen. And I was on the floor. I was 24 rows back from the ring, and I was right on one of the exit. There was one empty chair, one social distance chair between me and the guardrail for one of the exit ramps, or one of the exit aisles. I called it Loser's Lane because with the exception of Hiromu, all of the losers went out through that thing. So I got to see everybody trying to sell, or everybody legitimately selling how tired they were on the way out. And yeah, they did a pretty good job. The only one who actually kept acting was Jay White, but we'll get to him later. All right, so as we did last time, if you remember that far back, 2 days ago, we're going to go chronological order, and that means we're starting with the dark matches, the Stardom matches. In the first match, and I'm going to preface this, I don't follow Stardom. I should. I don't. First off, there were two matches. First was a trios match, Queen's Quest. Saya Kamitani, AZM, and Utami Hayashishida versus Donna Del Mondo of Maika, Natsupoi, and Himeka. I don't know who any of these people are. It looked like the babyfaces, or at least the women who were working babyface, won. So, that's nice. Up next, Donna Del Mondo again, so the same faction, roughly with at least five wrestlers, represented in this match by Shuri and Julia, specifically Kondo Shuri and Julia. Her gimmick is that she's half foreign, and therefore is a big, powerful beast, because gaijin. Again, not entirely sure who the good guys and the bad guys were here. We also had Iwatani Mayu and Nakano Tamu as the opponents. They don't appear to be a faction, but by this point, people were warming up to this. Both matches really had the same format to them. The first few minutes were the Notice Me Senpai moments of move, beg for reaction, sequence, beg for reaction, sequence, beg for reaction. Eventually, it got going, and people got into it, and it worked. Now, both of these matches, I don't know how to judge these, because there were no real stakes. There were no titles on the line. There was no continuity. It was an exhibition match. It was pretty much advertised. It was exactly advertised as a Stardom exhibition match. So the question is, did this get over what is Stardom's style? And I'm not sure it did. It got over, we can do everything the men can do. And while that's a great message, it's not particularly distinctive. So, it impressed me. There was one wrestler, and I had no idea. It wasn't Julia. It was one of the Japanese wrestlers. It was either Iwatani or Nakano. I'm not entirely sure. Who came out carrying a spear and twirling the spear, and she had tassels on her ring gear that included a blue Star of David on a white field. So it was basically the flag of Israel. Is there a Jewish Japanese wrestler with a spear that I don't know about? Because I kind of want to know more about that. Anyway, as for reaction, it took a while, and I will say the let's just call them assholes that I was sitting near, were laughing at most of this and just laughing at the idea of women's wrestling. But by the end of it, by the end of the two matches, most of the fans, most of the crowd were getting into this. They were clapping along, they were applauding, they were they seemed to like at least be paying attention, which is good. Is this going to convert any new Stardom fans? It might. I'd certainly be willing to check it out if I could find a good jumping on point. So if any of you know any good, if any of you are Stardom fans and you know any good jumping on points for this product, leave them down in the comments below and I'll check them out. I want to talk about the overall experiment that I think New Japan was running at this show. People going into this were saying this is a really weak card. And I think that was deliberate because I think New Japan is either at the beginning or a little further than they would like into a generational shift. And I think this show was an experiment in what do we do if we've got a major show with no Okada, no Naito, no Tanahashi, no Osprey, no none of these top guys. And honestly, I'm being generous sticking Osprey in there, but you've got really the top three, the modern day Three Musketeers, Naito, Okada, and Tanahashi, nowhere to be seen. No cameos, no promos, no nothing. They were in some of the videos that they recycled from the previous evening, but that was about it. And I'm not entirely sure it worked, with one exception. Well, two exceptions. You've got two genuine stars in Ibushi and Takahashi. You've got a couple characters like Jay White, Jeff Cobb, Shingo Takagi, who are almost there. You can tell that they're going to be great once they put those last few puzzle pieces together. And then you've got some characters that I think are just never going to get there at this point. Unfortunately, Evil, Sanada, and maybe Ishimori. I think Ishimori may have peaked. But yeah, this was an experiment of, can we put on a good show without our top three? And the answer is, yeah, but not a Wrestle Kingdom. Okay, let's go through this chronologically. Yano Toru wins the KOPW Provisional 2021 Trophy Thingamabob Oscar statue with a double low blow to the bickering heel tag team. And, oh god, this was so cheap. Lazy. What that much was lazy. And I have to admit when I'm wrong, people love this guy. He gets laughs. And okay, I don't think this is necessarily a case of the cultural translation, because I get Japanese humor. It's just that with Yano, I get what he's doing. I academically, if I sort of break down his act into the way I might break down a magic act, okay, I get what he's doing, I get what effect he's going for, and I understand academically why this is funny. It just doesn't make me laugh. I think he damages characters that he's in the ring with because they have to play the fool. If the other wrestlers, if the serious wrestlers were the straight man to Yano's idiot, that could work. But too often they have to play the fool for him because the gimmick is he's the sneaky roll-up champion, and he finds creative ways to win. Well, unfortunately, that means that other people have to fall for his crap. So it doesn't work for me. I think I'm about ready to give up on the King of Pro Wrestling trophy, but we'll see. Maybe they can salvage it, but I don't think so. Suzuki Gun defeats 1 or 8, the Bum Guy and Koguma Sky Blue. And right decision. Decent match. People were more into Taguchi than they were into Wato. Although I will say, I actually got to see Wato up close, because since they lost, they came by where I was sitting, and okay, Wato's got something. this guy's in tremendous shape. He looks except for the lazy eye, he looks fantastic. And he's kind of cute actually. So, he could be the young heartthrob. It's just the sky blue Tweety birds on his ass, and the fact that the Grandmaster gimmick is a horrible match for him, and I don't think he knows what it is. I certainly don't. He could be better than he is. Is he going to be the next Okada? I don't think so. Could he be the next, U.S. title, if they ever split it off, Intercontinental title, maybe never title? Yeah, I think he could. But he's not there yet. Jeff Cobb, Shingo Takagi. Crowd went crazy for this. This was the first match the crowd wasn't laughing more than they were cheering, or more than they were applauding. Cheering Takagi Shingo, of course, but Cobb impressed. And this is something with Japanese wrestling fans. They will ooh, ah, applaud and cheer and even chant for the heel if they do something cool. So, Jeff Cobb picks a very large human being up and throws him around like a rag doll, he's going to get cheered for that. That's not a heel act here. He's not being a bully. He's not cheating. He's not being a bully. He's being a cool wrestler. He's being a cool heel. And sometimes you can pull that off, sometimes you can't. By the way, this means clean sweep of losses, 0-3 on the weekend, or the 2 days, 0-3 in the Dome for the Empire. So the Empire is now officially, let's all beat up the foreigners. Cool. I think the Empire might be an albatross around the neck of certainly Jeff Cobb, probably Ospreay, and maybe Okan. I don't know what the ceiling is on Okan, but Cobb's got a high ceiling here, and hopefully this is going to be a brief run as a heel before he turns babyface and everybody loves him. Also, Cobb comes by me. I wanted to say, Viva Matanza or something, but you weren't allowed to talk. I did actually say something. I did break the rules when going back a bit when Chase Owens and Bad Luck Fale came down Loser's Lane. I said, sorry guys, because they deserve better than that, both of them. Anyway, so Cobb comes by. An interesting note on Cobb, he wasn't sucking air. He didn't look like he was gassed. Anybody with Cobb's body type, you're going to be asking, where's the cardio? He's got the cardio. He was selling being tired, being out of breath, but as someone who has asthma and has actual breathing problems, he wasn't sucking wind. He wasn't really blown up. So, good sell, but I happen to be able to see through it. Then the worst match of the night, and I'm including the four-way, Sonata Evil. This was a joke. I'm not kidding. This was a comedy match. This was supposed to be the "you betrayed our faction," biggest heel turn of the year in New Japan, maybe anywhere. You betrayed us. I want a pound of your flesh, and I'm going to take it out of your ass. I'm going to kill you. The only thing that's going to stop me from killing you is the bloody referee. That's where Sonata should have been here. And within... okay, they didn't lock up to start, which would have driven me crazy, but they do the spot where both guys go to kick the other, they both catch the other's leg, so they're in a Mexican standoff, and they sort of agree, okay, we'll both put the other's leg down at the same time, pull it back up, oh no you don't. It was a comedy spot. It was a comedy spot. He practically pantsed him. Ugh. No. Okay, everything wrong with this match summed up in one thing. Dick Togo, the chronically cheating heel manager who has made it his signature cheating tactic to do attempted murder with a garrote wire. He finally gets some comeuppance. He gets thrown through a table at ringside. Crash, crack, broken body, uproarious laughter from the crowd. Heel manager finally gets comeuppance and they laugh. Fail. On to the good stuff. Takahashi and Ishimori for the Junior Heavyweight Championship. Takahashi Hiromu winning the thing, and Hiromu's a star. I think you should probably keep him in the junior division for a while, let him dominate. maybe elevate the junior division in that way. But of the next generation experiment, this was the second biggest success story of the night. I think you could build a promotion around Takahashi Hiromu. You could certainly build a division around him. One thing though, Tanahashi, your style is popular. People dress, they don't dress as you, but they dress in your signature style. That was the thing that I noticed on the outside of the dome as I was kind of walking laps around the dome before the show to sort of, get some exercise in before I'd be sitting on my butt for 4 hours. You had people wearing merch. You had a lot of people wearing merch. You had a few people doing cosplay. But you had a lot of people who were dressing in what I'm going to call Hiromu chic. It wasn't Hiromu merch specifically, though there was a lot of that as well. But there was a lot of his sort of colorful style. It wasn't his merchandise. It was just something that he would wear. And so this guy's a fashion trend. But that said, I never want to see the coat of fluffy dildos again as long as I live. This was the amazing Technicolor sex toy, and I got a pretty good look at it because the second he took it off, one of the ringside people grabbed it and ran it to the back, which means they ran down Loser's Lane, and I got an up-close look at that jacket. It's effing hideous. I never want to see that again. But brilliant match, and Takahashi, because he likes to mess with people, he came down the Loser's Lane, so if I had been willing to break the rules and get myself thrown out of the building, I could have reached out and touched the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship belt and probably the trophy as well, the Best of Super Juniors trophy. And yeah, this guy just oozes charisma. I think most of it comes through on camera. Even better, this guy's a star. Ibushi White. 48 minutes and 5 seconds according to Wikipedia. It felt like 10. Again, academically, in your head, you knew this had been going on for a while, especially since they were, of course, doing the time calls, but you didn't feel like it was long in the tooth. It didn't overstay its welcome. I thought it was a brilliant match. Is it the best match I've ever seen? No. Is it the best match I've seen in New Japan? No. Was it the best match of the two nights? Yes. And I didn't think it was going to be. I thought this was I thought Jay White's shtick was going to drag it down, but with that much time, White actually had to move beyond his heel shtick, and it did seem like they'd left a lot of the Bullet Club bullshit for the Sonata Evil match. So, okay, I thought this really worked. And Ibushi, I said Hiromu was the number 2 success story of the next generation experiment. Ibushi is number 1. I'm going to say something that is controversial, so feel free to excoriate me in the comments. Ibushi Kota is the ace of New Japan. He has surpassed Tanahashi. He may have surpassed Okada. He's right up he's right up there with Naito. He's Naito's light side opposite. He is the ace. And he has got the total package. He's good looking, he's athletic, he can wrestle any style. He's got Murder Ibu. He's got that second gear, that super mode that he can shift into. And he's a great promo. And he's an intelligent promo. I don't know how much of this he wrote, how much of this somebody else wrote for him, but he's had this catchphrase that he's been doing for a while now, this affirmation almost, where he gets on the mic and he says in Japanese, "I will not run away, I won't lose, I won't give up, I won't betray you, I will become God." And in Japanese, a lot of times the tense of the sentence comes at the end. So, "Ore wa kami ni naru," I will become God. This time, at the last moment of the dome, he says, "I won't run away, I won't lose, I won't give up, I won't betray you. I became God. Ore wa kami ni natta." Natta, past tense. And I can't help but agree. The god of professional wrestling right now is Ibushi Kota. Two final notes. One, a round of applause to Gabriel Kidd, who was the hardest working man in New Japan this weekend. He was working ringside pretty much the entire night, which meant multiple times he had to run to the back for something, and that meant he's running from second base all the way to the outfield dugout and back again multiple times. And you know what? He earns the hardest working man of the night award for me. Also, a great and glorious fuck you to everybody who decided as soon as the bell rings, we're all going to jump out of our seats and get off the airplane. Part of the COVID restrictions was that they were only letting people out in sections after the show. In order to avoid overcrowding at the exits, because that's an obvious choke point, they would announce your area and let you leave. And the security guys, unless it was a case of, crying baby or diaper needs change, they weren't letting anybody out. So I actually wound up staying not only after the show, but after most of the ring had been taken down. They had taken off all the ropes. They had removed the ring skirt. They had, taken off the cerulean blue. And that was actually kind of a cool thing to see. See everything, when it's dark and the LED panels are off. But as soon as the bell rings, so before the belts are awarded, before anybody does a promo, before there's any kind of aftermath, or considering what happened last year, I was half expecting a heel to show up. We got Sonata showing up saying, "Hey, I would like to give you the gift of a match with me," or whatever that was. Yeah, no, not interested in that. Hopefully, that's just something for Ibushi to steamroll. But back to the idiots. As soon as the bell rings, bunch of people jump up and rush out before they close the gates to try to escape having to take their turn. And granted, probably this was to catch a less crowded train. Well, guess what? The trains weren't that fucking crowded. And you could have done what I did, which is go to the Starbucks at Tokyo Dome City, have a yuzu and citrus tea, and listen to music for 20 minutes, and then get on the train. And it was normal. There was no crowding. There was a few people in merch, but that was it. So yeah, a bunch of people standing up and blocking the view of the actual presentation of the championship and the promo. A great and glorious fuck you, each and every one of you. Overall, Wrestle Kingdom, very glad I went. Some personal issues did make it difficult to enjoy Night 2 to its fullest, but I think I can say Night 1 was better than Night 2. Looking to the future of New Japan, I hope they're going to be able to keep Tanahashi, Okada, and Naito around for a while, but because they still need them, but they've got a future. You can build a whole promotion around Ibushi. You could probably do the same with Hiromu. I think we've got a good future for Shinihon Puroresu. And now that I've said that, I need to go watch New Year's Dash. Thank you for listening, if indeed you still are. Please like, subscribe, enable notifications, all that fun YouTube stuff. And I will talk to you again later. Thank you, and catchphrase sign off.